In the 54 years since Scooby Doo was created, we have had so many compelling mysteries to follow, where it's just some random episode of a show. We're in the movie theaters watching live action movies, or the 3D one. Scooby Doo is known for its fun mysteries, but there is only one which beats the rest, and I really need to talk about it. Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated aired in 2010 and had 2 seasons of television. In those 52 episodes, we saw the development of a mystery which is just so brilliant in both writing and in execution. The gimmick of Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated is what if each mystery was one town, there was one source for all the crimes, where we delve deeper and deeper into that lore until we reach the show's finale. Each episode furthered the plot in some way, no matter how small it may seem. It would build up to a certain payoff and give us fans one of the most rewarding shows to watch over and over again. This storytelling method is one very different from the more episodic Scooby-Doo formula, and I love it for that reason. Although that mystery starts off pretty basic in the first few episodes, it quickly ramps up and just gets insane. We start out the show with 2 simple mysteries. What happened to the original Mystery Incorporated, and who is Mystery, although we unknowingly also begin the mystery of Angel Dynamite. All 3 of those mysteries tied together, and we kind of get a conclusion of that at the end of the first season. But before this, we also learn about the Darrow family. Their mansion disappeared, and when Mystery Inc. goes to find it, we get introduced to possibly the best mystery in the show, which is already just the best overall mystery in Scooby-Doo. It's the Planispheric Disk. The Planispheric Disk, like most of the show's overarching mystery, is like an onion, where whenever we try to get to the center, we find another layer. And in the case of the Planispheric Disk, we keep trying to find new layers up until the show's penultimate episode. On the surface, when it is introduced to us with Danny Darrow, it seems to be nothing more than a random piece of treasure until we later find out that it's only part of a map to find the fantasized treasure of Crystal Cove. But then, we have explored that it is encoded with secret messages and coordinates, which leads us to 4 keys, which we learn in the sitting room are connected to 4 elements, which are 4 different rooms in order to find and guard that treasure. It's so interesting to me that a simple golden pizza slice looking thing that we see in the middle of season 1 of the Scooby-Doo show turned out to be so much more complex, just so much deeper by the end of the show. That's just the brilliance of the show showcased perfectly. Another example of brilliant writing in the show is, again, that original mystery of Mystery Incorporated, or the Darrow family, or any other mystery gangs. Throughout the first season of the show, and the first half of the second, we meet a lot of gangs of mystery solvers with mysterious backstories. Like I mentioned, the OG Mystery Inc. disappeared, the Darrow family mansion disappeared, but we also have the Fraternitas Mysterium, whose donkey blew up half the town, the Benevolent Lodge of Mystery, who designed the Craig Stuffabots, built the underwater base and that big library, the Hunter of Secrets, who had the tool to kill the evil entity and failed, and there was also the Alanza Misterio and Mystery Gang, which we don't know much about them, but seem interesting. Almost each of the previous groups seemed to have something weird go on to them and they mysteriously disappeared, and also there are a lot of similarities in between each group and also our current group. Each group, all of them, 4 people and an animal. This, again, was a mystery built up from episode 1, and the conclusion of the story is just brilliant. But before we get to that conclusion, we need to bring up the evil entity and the conquistadors. The conquistadors are the creators of the Planispheric Disk and set into motion the whole story of the show. It starts with them fighting a mysterious sarcophagus sitting atop a temple in Central America. That sarcophagus holds the evil entity who is part of the Annunaki, deities worshipped by Mesopotamians. But in this show, they're just sentient mythological deities like the Egyptians, but they're in fact space aliens. The evil entity, though, as his name implies, is very evil, and the other Anunnaki imprisoned him in a crystal sarcophagus, but even in that, he could still influence those around him, so there his scheme began. While he was in Central America, he manipulated the Hunters of Secrets into forming into a group so that they could set him free, but they turned on him and tried to destroy him. Sadly, they never got the chance to do that, because the conquistadors stole the sarcophagus only to be manipulated into doing terrible crimes by the evil entity. Once the conquistadors became aware of the sarcophagus as evil, they brought it to Crystal Cove, where they could bury it alongside all their other plunders, where it would be guarded by the 4 keys and accessed using the Planispheric Disk, which would be split up so no one could free the entity. But just like being trapped in sarcophagus in his tomb, the evil entity could still manipulate those around him, and like Hunters of Secrets, in each generation, the evil entity would manipulate mystery-solving groups into forming, manipulating the townsfolk into doing evil acts for the kids to solve. But because of the influence of the entity, each mystery group was destroyed by their own selfishness until we meet the Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated, the modern gang. And there's one last piece of the puzzle in the show's mystery, and it is the mystery of Nibiru, the doomsday event where the planets align, permitting the evil to escape like we see in the show. This, of course, is the show's finale, where the whole 2 seasons of lore accumulate. Now, one thing about Nibiru, which I just love, and I really wish timed up just a tad bit better, 2012 was the year where the Mayan calendar ended, everyone was theorizing the world was going to end, and 5 months later, Scooby-Doo, the finale came out. It was April 2013, and I feel like it was written to come out around that same time, or at the very least, we were learning a lot about Nibiru in the show at that time. So either way, I just think really cool how that real-life thing connected to the show. What I find most interesting, though, is that, like the Annunaki, Nibiru is a real thing, or at least is speculated to be. Not only does Scooby Doo Mystery Incorporated have great lore it develops, but takes the time to connect it with real-world mythology, events, and theories by people. Even the reason Scooby Doo can talk, something which is always just chalked down to cartoon logic, is explained in the show's lore, with him being a descendant of the Annunaki. And there are even more connections, like Fred's parents being part of OG Mystery Inc., and that his adopted father, Mayor Jones, is the one who dismantled the original Mystery Inc., and that he took their piece of the disc and all the other small pieces of the mystery, which just makes it feel so much richer, like Mr. E and Angel, again, being part of Mystery Incorporated. There are so many great connections to other Scooby-Doo as well, like how Vincent Van Ghoul is used, or the Hex Girls, or even the Scrappy-Doo joke. The writing in Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated is just seriously nuts, and it isn't just impressive for being Scooby-Doo, but for anything besides these extreme fantasy worlds, sci-fi, like the works of Tolkien or Frank Herbert. I will say, we have still gone a few other very unique TV shows, tons of lore, like, for example, The Owl House, specifically its 2nd season. It's just perfect, and I recommend you check out that video right now. I have been Fictional Fanatics. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you over in that Owl House video. Bye!